Welcome to my show. I'm a guest here. Her name is Kathy Healey. Mrs. Kathy, how are you doing, ma?
Happy to be here.
So happy to have you on my show.
Happy to have this opportunity.
Also, so very much happy to have you on the show. Thank you so much, Mrs. Kathy. Firstly, you are an author. You're also a sommelier and a community advocate. Can you please, Mrs. Kathy, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently now, Mrs. Kathy?
Well, I started at age 5 because I am one of 13 children. My mother was a nurse, and when we were little, uh, the children like 5, 6, 7, she would take us to adult communities, senior centers, and we would play bingo. And bingo is where the seniors sit together and they call out numbers and stuff. And we would sit with the seniors and help them play a game. So, as from early childhood, I was always taken to locations by my mother or my aunt to help seniors advocate for fun, advocate for activities. And we just thought this was normal. And my mother being a nurse, my mother's sister being a nurse, we did a lot of things as families together. So uh, it was kind of, I was born into it. I was born to help others, but I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I was just going to have fun. So, fun for me, even at a very young age, was to help others. As I got older, we would help maybe clean a church or help a neighbor uh, maybe with babysitting if the mother had to go to like a doctor or a hospital, or another mother was giving birth to another child. My mother would send us over to neighbors to help and to assist other people, which we thought is a neighborly thing to do. You just when we were young, we were just told what to do, and we did it. It was simple.
That's beautiful. That means you had a very, very lovely childhood, and during that time there was nothing like the phone or laptop that has, this so much distraction. So there was just giving the order and the order just has to be done, during that time. It would be a very, very beautiful time. And I want to like from your experience, I can see you've had a lot of experience as a community advocate and someone who has had a lot of experience from the childhood. Have you tried to write any book or are you planning to write any book in the coming future? Kathy.
I actually have written and published 3 books, okay? And you're not aware of them. One is a children's book of how my mother initiated uh, empathy for people who need to learn about the world. So it's about my mother and the children, the grandchildren, and the great grandchildren, how she encouraged them to go out into the world to learn about others, learn about other um, advocacy, learn about how other people live, how other people learn. So I also wrote a book about my mother and her life with my father, and it was a life of being battered. My mother was abused by my father, and he would slap her around and he would eh, hurt her, but then he would expect her to, have sex and be with her. He was dominant. He was trying to be dominant over her, and eventually she kept getting pregnant. And they were all 13 children were single births. So my book is about the legacy of my mother of teaching us how to learn and how to respect others. And my third book is about me and my my lifestyle and how I would go out and do fun things with fun people. So they're my three books.
That is very, very lovely. That means your mother loved to teach the children how just to have the sense of exploration, to learn new things. I think that is very, very beautiful. And I would like to know if your mother is still alive because you really, really loved your mother.
I adored her. She was, now I didn't know any different. I know now as an adult, many children do not get along with their parents. Many children, and not all mothers and not all fathers are uh, advocacies for children. They abuse their children because they want to be dominant. I am what is called a CASA, CASA. It means uh, Child Services Advocate for Foster Care Children. I have children in foster care. They don't live with me. I advocate in the home, in the school, in the courts. I do that presently, and I've been doing that about 20 years.
Mm.
So I love my mother, but not all children love their mother, and not all mothers are kind.
Yes, completely agree. And that also shows that even I myself as a person, I do love my mother. I really loved her, but mine was very, very early. Losing a mother at a very early age. I was in my teen when I lost her. So I didn't really add that mother, empathy and stuff like that. So I would like to also dive to the point of the community advocate. Your mother has done many things when it comes to community, and you two, you are also doing it in the time today. And in our time today, we are missing a lot of community. Everybody wants to be on the internet, everybody wants to do things on the internet. So community is really, really fading. So I would like to know, we do know that, your mother also was one of the main reason that inspired you to become a community advocate. But with other experience, what things you feel like also inspired you to become a community advocate, Mrs. Katie?
My inspiration was when you go to school, when you play outside, there's always children who have less than you. They have less food, less clothes, and you can see they have less love because they don't want to go home. They don't want to go home to their mother. So the what inspired me was looking, learning, and being out in the world to play and see for yourself that I'm blessed. So I need to give to others what they don't have at home. And it's some people don't see it. I pretty much had a lot of love to give from my mother to me and me to others.
And that shows how the love those children and those people are going to have. They will really love. The children love a lot of play stuff and stuff like that. They love things that are more of fun, which is really, really inspiring. And you have definitely had a lot of challenges and also qualities that you feel like one needs to have to become a community advocate, Mrs. Katie. What challenges do you feel like are you've personally faced, and what do you think are the qualities someone needs to have if someone wants to, chase being a community advocate, Mrs. Katie?
The challenge that was a couple questions, and the challenges I face are time. How do you have the time? I am 78 and I have right now 9 jobs. Now, how do you have 9 jobs? I'm what is called a banquet server, a sommelier, and of course, this is Las Vegas. I live in Las Vegas, and the deal is there's many other hotels that need workers, and from one side to another. So the 9 jobs are not in the same hotel. It's from Bellagio to Mandalay Bay to Caesar's Palace to Wynn to the Venetian. Different people need workers at different times, and that's what I do. I'm also a bartender. I tend bar. So my challenges are time. I have a husband. I have 4 children, 11 grandchildren, and I'm sorry, 8 grandchildren. 3 are distant right now. And of the 8 grandchildren, 7 are girls. So I advocate for girls a lot. But the challenges are, how do you have time to work, do the challenge of volunteering and getting there, and feel you're appreciated? A lot of people think, how can I give my time away from my family? I don't have, some people give time to their dogs, their cats, and other animals, and they just, people look at me and say, why don't you stay home and pay attention to your husband? Well, he's a grown man and he can do for himself. But the advocacy of the challenges I face are mainly uh, looking, seeing, feeling the needs of others. I am challenged with time, and people ask me, don't you sleep? I sleep, but I get up, I feel good, I can feed the homeless, I can help children with their homework. I I advocate for children in not just foster care, but going into the schools and teaching children to read. A lot of people, even in high school, don't read and they don't know how to enjoy a book. And so my advocacy is, how do you have time to love other people outside of your family? That's probably my biggest challenge.
Yes, probably also those people are looking, you've grown, you're now a elderly woman. So they're looking how you manage to personally, roll all those things together, those 7 jobs, as you said, and also those children, they will really, really love you. Like children are very, very one of the greatest thing one could admire because they are the future of tomorrow. They will definitely have Mrs. Cassie, they will have someone that really impacted them in the positive way, which is really, really massive. And Mrs. Katia, I would also like to dive to people who would like to, who wants to find or probably create a way of being a community advocate or creating a community advocate. And when someone has created or when someone has find that community advocacy, how can that person, from your experience as a community advocate, how can that person feel like the person is as measured like as getting to a point of success in that community advocacy, Mrs. Katie?
Well, it could be one person at a time. It doesn't have to be a large group of people. Now, it could be that do you know what Meals on Wheels are? Meals on Wheels is when, okay, you don't know? Okay. I'm going to explain. There's many ways to advocacy, one person at a time, a neighbor that needs to go to a doctor's office, a neighbor who needs to go to the grocery store to get milk or bread or butter. One thing at a time, that can be advocacy. Many other, how do I get other people? How do people learn how to do this? They learn from their heart. They learn that they have time to help somebody else with the gift of love. The gift of, it's not just love, it's the gift of kindness and hope that they can get better. If someone's sick, you can't make them better, but you can make them feel uh, warm and friendly. You can make them feel hopeful. You can give them all these tools, but you don't have to give them money. You're giving them the time. Your time is valuable. Your time is precious. When you give someone who doesn't expect it, but is grateful, some people don't want your help. There are people who are homeless. They don't want a shelter. There's people who go for food They want the food, but they don't want your help. They want the meal, but they don't want to know how you made it. So you can help one person at a time or go to a food bank and help 600 people with many other volunteers and give 600 people meals. The meal is done, they go back to their living. But they don't want your help, they want your food. But they don't necessarily want everything you want to give them. They want one thing at a time. So the to answer your question, how do people go and become an advocate? They see a need. You have a need of a person on the street that holds up a sign that says, "Help me." Now, they may want $1 or they may want $5, but are they going to buy drugs with it? Are they going to buy alcohol with it? Or are they going to buy food with it? What are they going to do with it? I don't know. But if they're standing on a corner holding the sign, why don't they go get a job? If they could, because a lot of people are younger people who find a corner. And where do you want to help them? Do you want to help them with $1, $5, or keep driving? Don't help them at all. So that's pretty much, everybody has the time, but you don't want to see sadness. If advocacy is helping someone who is in need, but you don't want to take that need and take it home, you want to give them $1 and move on. But not everybody wants to see people who are less fortunate.
Mrs. Katie, what you said currently now is very, very powerful, honestly speaking, because even for someone to become a community advocate, the person can decide to, it doesn't matter how many the person is, you can do it can start from early, one-on-one basis or any way, and it is really, really powerful because a lot of people, we used to normally hear it, even on the internet, everybody needs help, everyone needs help, but some people, it might not be, it could be encouragement, it could be one information that could really, really help them in many ways that could build them to become the success they normally need. And we just hope that the world become a better place because it is really, really powerful, honestly speaking. It depends on how, because it's very difficult to help too, it's really, really difficult, and it's also good, but someone have to make sure that he or she is on the right path when it comes to assisting or even helping one another. It doesn't matter whether it be money or it depends on how one can be encouraged, how one can be built. Some people, the only thing they need is encouragement. They are depressed, they have this anxiety, they are down. Even some people, they are not even down, they are dead, they are just walking. Honestly speaking, the only thing they need is that encouragement. Honestly speaking,
They
and
need, I think they need kindness, to be kind, to be kind and gentle. You can be kind, but if you're rough with them, they'll turn away. You need to be kind and gentle at the same time, both things together. And some people, if they live in an environment in their home that is not kind and gentle, they can't give it to somebody else because they're already sad. Not everybody's home life is wonderful. Not everybody's home life is inspiring. I advocate for children in what is called a community center, where what performing arts, where they have people who come in and sing and dance on a stage, and the children come in and watch. I help in a library where children want to learn how to read, but they can't figure out what book they want. So you want to be there and you want to be kind, gentle, and helpful, and give them one thing at a time. Don't try and change their whole life. Change one thing at a time.
honestly speaking, and that one thing can be what we make that person just thrive in life and become tremendous things, honestly speaking. Because some people, it's just a word. Why not do it this way? Even one time I was down to one point, like I was down to the point that I had to ask for encouragement, and the person was just like, "Why can't you do this?" And honestly speaking, my brain was not even flashing there. I was just like, it was there. I was like, "Yes, I'm a computer science student. I can study cyber security. I can be, wow, that's and I never thought of it. Honestly speaking, that is how advocacy work. Some people do not know how it, but giving them that word could really go a long way. I want to sincerely thank you for this insight. This is a very, very big discussion. Honestly speaking, this is something people need to understand. It is not all about everything. It's not all about going to the point by helping to the point that you just tremendously. That is not how it works. It works in probably encouragement, something that could add value in one way or the other in that person's life that could build that person to the next stage. That is really, really powerful. I want to sincerely thank you for the insight on that, Mrs. Cathy. And Mrs. Cathy, there's no question I normally ask during the end of the show. I know from your personal experience, you've had a lot of, forefathers experience when you were a child. There are a lot of things that do exist during that our forefathers' time, and many of it are missing in our time today. If there is anything or anyone you would like to bring back to our time today, what do you think that thing would be, Mrs. Cathy?
There, because I'm older, I probably maybe know 10 people who have given me influence I would like to have back into my life. And, but talking about things you just mentioned, sometimes it is just one word. You don't have to say many, many things. You want to say one word, but it doesn't actually have to be a word. It could be just a smile. You
Hmm.
can just smile. But to answer your question, uh, who would I bring back into my life? Uh, yes, my mother. Um, I have a couple siblings who have passed away, and of course, you want them back in your life. The most powerful, uh, the most powerful person in my world, it's probably my children. Uh, my children give me encouragement to go and help other children.
Hmm.
My children give me their love back to me, and but they don't live here. I don't live near my children. I don't live near my grandchildren. And sometimes you want to have people close to you that are far away. They could be in another country. They could be someplace because they're deceased. They're in your mind. They really haven't left you. They're always in your mind, in your heart, and you want to bring them back. Bring them back to give you more. You have bad days. I have bad days. You have bad days. But just think of the person on the street that has a bad day every day. They have to go look for food. They have to go look for how to cross the street. They have to look for where is their next piece of clothing. And some people, for I don't know why, but they have a dog or a cat. So they're feeding their children, they're feeding, but the dog is a kind of kindness that gives you constant love, constant attention, constant adoration. So they get it from an animal. And I've had animals in my life, and her name was Beverly, and she was a Rottweiler. And Beverly was fun. She was just full of life, and I had her for about 9 years. Rottweilers don't live, so it doesn't have to be a person. It could be an animal that gave you so much love, then you give back out the love to other people. Some people need. Do you ever see people coming through the airport and they have a dog under their arm? They need that dog. They need that constant encouragement, constant adoration, constant attention. And the animal doesn't know any better. It just keeps giving.
Completely agree. Animal doesn't know anything, most especially dog and cat. I think those are the two animals I know people normally have most of the time. Those give that constant attention and love, and it really helps. It really helps in many ways. It has helped a lot of people to feel like they are loved. This this life that we have now is a really really tough one. I have to be honest. It's really tough. I don't know how it is during your own time, but during our time here, it's not easy. It's really tough. The community is fading. A lot of things are fading. A lot of people are being misled massively.
Yes.
Seriously, it's really powerful. This time we don't know how it's gonna hit. We don't know how it's gonna stop, but we hope that better things comes in the coming future. Mrs. Scotty, I want to completely thank you for the time and the opportunity that you've given the audience and I myself on community advocacy, which is really, really powerful. Thank you so much, Mrs. Katie.
Wonderful. You know what? It's all about communication and finding time to give to each other to make our lives better and stronger.
Exactly. Completely agree. Have a wonderful day, Katy. Bye bye.
Have fun.